What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another QTV podcast. And today I'm going to be answering one of the most frequently asked questions, and that is, what's wrong with the Sony X950G? I mean, after all, I don't recommend it. I haven't been recommending it, and it can't be easy for owners out there. Now, again, no matter what I do, of course, people who feel a type of way about that will always hit the dislike button. But understand that I'm going to be giving you actual facts and problems with this product. So hopefully that not only can they get patched and fixed down the road, but also as a buyer, you understand what you're getting yourself into. Again, I'm not here to crap on a product. It's not that kind of party. It's literally just to help you and give you the information that you need. And with that, we're going to talk about what's wrong with it. So the first problem that I ran into with my time with the Sony X950G was the fact that the internal apps aren't stable. So you had problems where you can see an over zooming of text, over zooming of YouTube videos. Again, you shouldn't have these kinds of problems requiring you to patch your TV. Now, if the patches come out and fix those things, that's great, but do be mindful that, again, you are required to have internet access. So now you're expected to have another thing that is outside of the TV, which, again, this stuff isn't cheap as it is. You're talking about a TV that's well over $1,000. So I would expect everything to be taken care of. I mean, people, let's be real here. $1,000 is a lot of money. I mean, you're talking about $1,000 of disposable income. We're not talking about bill money or life money. This is disposable income. So they need to make sure that they're taking care of these products, and they're not. And so that's why I come down so hard on these products. That, and as you guys know, social media influencers or brand influencers are continuing the marketing of these products as perfect. They're great. They never tell you don't buy these products if X, Y, and Z. They just say it's great, I recommend it. But that's wrong. You don't do that to people. So that's why I'm here and I'm giving you this information. Now, another problem with the Sony X950G that I ran into is the black levels. While it's great for movie watching, for the most part, those smaller highlights on video games ruin it. Literally ruin it. You'll run into situations where it's just crappy, dude. Like, it's so bad. I mean, the Mortal Kombat logo that I had, I mean, just check my playlist, check the side-by-side comparisons. It gets really bad. I mean, gray, black, it was unplayable for me. Now, when it got back in normal content, it was fine. And anytime I had the 16:9 aspect ratio, it was fine. I didn't have anything with letterbox bars or anything with 4:3 bars, nothing. It was all very clean. I had deep black there. But the problem was when you get a singular part of the screen that needs to be lit up, it just completely falls apart. So that's something that you're going to need to keep in mind for a dark room. Like, I always game inside of a darker room setting, turn all the lights off, and just kind of hang out and chill. But if you again don't have the ability to do that freely, it's going to be a problem for that kind of price point for some people. Now, again, if you don't really care, like, let's say, like, because I do see these comments, right? Like, dude, I'm upgrading from like a 10-year-old plasma or a 7-year-old, you know, Toshiba or whatever it is. I don't know, a lot of different TVs I've seen. Then sure, the bar is already set pretty low. I mean, if you're coming from like an older Vizio E series or like something that's really outdated at this point, yeah, it's going to be a fantastic TV because you're used to gray black already. But I'm telling you, like, for the money that you're paying, products should be made better, and there are better products. And so I try to give you guys that information. Now, the next thing wrong with the Sony X950G is the fact that, again, the terms of service thing is huge. Like, you cannot use this TV if you don't submit to Google. That's big. You just paid over $1,000 and they're already being disrespectful. They're telling you as a consumer, you need to submit to what I believe you need to agree with. There's no like opt out button where they say, okay, if you don't agree, just hit I don't agree, but then you can use it offline only. You know, nothing like that. It's just you either agree or you take it back to the store. That's nasty. Like, come on. Like, you just paid all this money. They should be respectful. You know, they should at least value you as a customer, and they don't. And Sony needs to remove that from their offering. It's garbage, and honestly, it's one of the things holding the TV back. And honestly, every single Android TV has this as a problem. It's not just a problem with Sony specifically, but still, this is something to talk about. Now, another problem with the Sony X950G is motion. As I've mentioned in the past, you know, Cinemotion is one of the hallmark technologies that Sony has implemented that gives them that fluidity. And in prior years on lesser expensive TVs to this day, guys, you were able to go in and adjust the Cinemotion to high, medium, and low, and you can no longer do that now. Instead, you're locked into just automatic, and it doesn't work well. And what happens is you run into situations where it could have been smoother and it could have been more optimized, but they're ripping out features. And anytime a company is ripping out features, I like to report on that. So if one year I say Sony's great and then the next I'm saying they're terrible, I say this stuff because honestly, they need to get their act together and there's something wrong. And that's the problem. You don't take away features, you build upon an already awesome concept. That's how you get customers, at least in my mind. But sadly, that's not the case with Sony, and you will be missing out on a lot of the motion smoothing that you had. In fact, a lot of the picture presets that you had from prior models, like literally like the year before, is gone. It's just missing. And I found this is more so a problem on the X1 Ultimate chipset. So the X1 Extreme chipset, for whatever reason, all those picture presets and options still remain, but the X1 Ultimate, magically, those are ripped out and gone. I don't know what the thought process was behind that, but that is definitely a problem. You're paying more for those X1 Ultimate devices and you're getting less feature sets. And that's a huge issue. Now, another problem with the Sony X950G is the fact that it's literally a copy and paste design of the Sony X900F. The feet are very ugly, they don't make sense, and honestly, it's not a TV that screams luxury. You're buying a Sony TV for over $1,000. I don't know like what your life situation is if you, again, follow audio and video or you don't, but if you do and you've seen any Sony TV in years prior, they usually look really good. They're usually luxury items. This looks really cheap and on par with something that you would see from a lesser brand. And it's embarrassing because they don't put the ingenuity behind making a better design that makes sense instead of the ugly duck feet that will definitely become outdated very quickly, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Especially because they're placed so wide, you need to have a wide media console if you tabletop. Now, if you wall mount your TV, you probably won't care anyway, but tabletopping is a big deal. Now, another problem with the Sony X950G is the fact that the color is not as vibrant as it was in years prior. So they've implemented now in this new Sony X950G a brand new color space management system, and that's great. But the problem is that it doesn't give you the vibrancy that you had on older models. Like the Sony X900E, when I did the comparison against the 950G, beat the 950G and matched it in a lot of areas that it shouldn't have, and that really bugged me. Now, let's not just talk negatives, because of course I know people want to hear something positive about it. Yes, it does have good brightness. I've mentioned this. It's awesome with brightness, and the upscaling is fantastic. It's tack sharp, and three-dimensional imagery is definitely there. But the problem is the overall picture is not worth the price point that they're trying to ask for. I mean, you can find budget TVs like the Hisense H9F, when you roll a good panel, to be absolutely exceedingly better in all the areas that really matter, only lacking in a handful like the picture processing chip. And I think that honestly is a better value for the dollar that you would spend. And that's what I do here. I'm just trying to give you guys that information. Now, again, I know this may come off negative because, I mean, we're talking about, again, all the things wrong with the product, but it's important to do this in a way that makes sense. So I just hope that by doing that, I'm at least giving you the information you need as a buyer. I think, again, one of the things that I find really wrong with the Sony X950G is just that it's lazy. It's really a lazy TV. If you've bought a TV within the last year or two, you know it's lazy, right? Coming from those TVs myself, being a person who reviews these TVs regularly, I can tell you from their effort that they put out in a prior year, this is lazy, and you are better off buying a 900F or something from last year because they just didn't try as hard with these TVs. And that's just honestly the truth of the matter. Now, I have not had the chance to check out the 75-inch variant, which has the better viewing angles, and of course, maybe the experience may be different, but for the 55 and the 65-inch variant, which most people are purchasing right now, that is a pass for the most part, unless you are okay with these problems and issues that I've raised. Again, I've also had problems with HDR where that is not as vibrant as it should be, and that is definitely something that you should think about when you're getting involved into a product. That being said, though, I would love to hear your thoughts on this in the comment section down below. Please, let's try to keep it civil. No personal attacks at the end of the day. We are just talking about a piece of plastic. It's not like a relative or somebody that I'm dogging on. It's literally a piece of plastic. And I'm telling you this not to upset your brand or to, ruin some love you have for Sony or whatever the case may be, or make you feel bad about your purchase. I'm telling you this because as a buyer, you have a right to know what the mainstream reporters are not going to tell you. They are paid to promote this product. I am not. So I'm going to tell you, like, hey, listen, this is what is wrong with it. If you're okay with it, go for it. That being said, thanks for watching the #1 brand in honesty and tuning into yet another podcast. And until the next video, I'll see you guys later.